Hey, welcome back. It's Jason Coleman, mortgage broker with Price Mortgage. And the question I have today is, are the feds lying to us? They say they're going to start quantitative tightening, and yet we're seeing mortgage rates fall. The 10-year Treasury fell from 3.5 almost down to 3%. And if mortgage-backed securities went no bid, then I asked myself, who's buying those and what drove mortgage rates down in the past week or so? To me, it seems like they're still buying mortgage-backed securities and they're not going, they're not being transparent with us. I feel like if they stop buying altogether, that this would drive mortgage rates up to 7 or 8% right away. But we all know that if you do that, you're going to kill housing altogether and we're going to have a crash. Well, they don't want to crash because tax revenues. So 70% of the tax revenues go to pay for the national debt, which we all know we're extremely in debt. So we need the tax revenues to pay for our monthly debt payments, right? So if they just blast out, 8, 10% rates like Paul Volcker did, which was a totally different scenario back in the late 70s and early 80s, totally different scenario. We didn't have this much debt. We didn't have all this craziness going on. We hadn't kicked the can down the road for 14 years like we have right now. So I'm kind of, wondering, can the feds actually keep pushing rates up like they say they're going to do 7, 8, 9 times over the period of the next 7 or 8 months? I don't think they can. I personally don't, because if the rates get too high and credit card payments start getting out of control, which we're really in a bad situation right now when it comes to credit card debts, with the cost of gasoline and the cost of food shooting up, and all that stuff is driving the middle class and the lower class to really try and figure out how they're going to pay for their next rent, how they're going to pay for their next meal. And it's going to get worse. I believe by this fall, we're going to see a rise in food costs to the tune of 20 to 40%. That's what the experts are predicting. So with the rise of rates, we also lost 18 million potential home buyers. They got priced out of the market and no longer qualify. So how does that affect us? We currently have 8.4 million renters behind on rent. That's a consumer census, and it shows us that's a survey done between the first part of June and the second part and the middle part of June. So what does this all mean? Are landlords going to have to evict tenants? Are we going to see record number of bankruptcies coming up? And what does this mean for the housing market? So last week we saw here in the Maricopa County, we saw 2,000 homes come to market in 1 week. And at that pace, by August, we're going to have a balanced market of somewhere like 20, 25,000 homes. I expect by the end of this week, July 1st will be Friday, I expect that we're going to have at least 15,700 homes listed, available, not under contract, available for your buying searches, so you can go, you're going to have choices. You're going to have more time to decide. You're going to be able to compare if you're a buyer in this market. I think we're seeing a lot of seller FOMO. And I also think that flippers, you're going to have a much tougher time. Now, what was interesting to me on my Facebook, I saw one local realtor, he put out, hey, we have OfferPad has 272 homes for sale right now and only 71 under contract. So they have an inventory of 272 homes, and they are the more conservative of the two between OfferPad and Open Door, right? They're the more conservative ones. And so that's, for them, that's probably about 6 months worth of inventory. And another agent came on to my Facebook feed and said, by July 1st, there's some hedge funds that are going to be going out and buying in the Maricopa County between $600 and $1.5 million homes to set up as Airbnb. And I scratched my head and I'm like, okay, so it does make sense, because the higher end, the higher income earners are the ones who can't afford to go out and buy right now. And it's the lower priced homes, these homes that are not fixed up, they're not renovated, that appeal to the middle class, right? And so if the middle class is getting squeezed and we lost 18 million potential home buyers, there's going to be a scenario there, right? And I'm going to let you figure out what that scenario is going to be. But if you're in the market right now and you're trying to buy a home, get a good agent. Get an agent who is going to be able to tell you, well, this is what this home went for. These are how many people they have interested in the property. Or should you just let that property sit there for maybe another couple weeks because that seller is doing wish pricing? They're priced, from 3 months ago, and they think we're still in that market, which this market is shifting super fast. So my advice, if you are in the market, this is what my advice right now is: pay off all your debts, right? Cut out all the BS foolish spending. Your $5 cup of coffee, cut that cable bill and find an alternative. Pay off your car, try and get something more reasonable if you have a super high car payment, because debt to income ratio with higher prices and higher interest rates is going to come into play big time right now. That's how you should all be living anyways. Buy cash, save your money, save your money, save your money, and cut down the spending. Don't go out to eat as much. Just find ways to cut your budget down to afford what's coming. Stock up on food, canned foods, eat in stuff that's non-perishable, learn to cook, teach your children how to cook, that kind of thing. Maybe get an extra job so you can save up more money and work harder. I know when I was 15 years old, I worked 2 jobs. I worked during the night over at the golf and stuff, running the go-karts, and during the day I would bust tables and wash dishes so I could save up enough money for a car. My dad didn't have money to just give us all a car. So that's what I did. I would mow lawns, I would work 2 jobs, I would do whatever it took. And that's what I love about Maricopa County and Phoenix, Arizona, is there's always work. There's always a place to get a job. So that's my best advice. I appreciate you tuning in. And if you found this information helpful, please drop me a like and subscribe. And until next time,